Welcome to Focus on Juicy Joints. So you want to keep your joints healthy. They have to stay lubricated, right? So what are the main ways we keep our joints healthy? Well, we definitely keep ourselves hydrated, and there are several different ways of hydrating. Eating fresh and organic fruits and vegetables have a lot of nutritional water, not usually contaminated because of the way that they're grown. So that's a really great way of hydrating if you never thought of that. Drinking water is a great way too, but you have to be careful about the source of your water. And you want to make sure it's a source that is like spring water, something that is electrolyzed, has a lot of electrolytes and minerals in it. So one way of doing that, if you are not sure about your water source, even if there's some filters out there, still don't pick up on everything and won't add that mineralization. So you can add a little salt to your water, pink Himalayan salt. So you want to make sure, and fruit juices are another great way. So keep yourself hydrated. That's definitely one, or nice homeopathic teas and natural herbal teas are a really great way to stay hydrated. We know we love our coffee. If you're into soda, you definitely want to make sure that you're counteracting, because soda and coffee are dehydrating. So you think you're drinking something liquid, but it's not hydrating. So you want to make sure you're drinking hydrating beverages, teas and fruit juices, and eating fresh organic fruits and vegetables. So that's going to help your glands to be able to produce synovial fluid. So synovial fluid is that lubrication that your glands release. When you start to move your body, it tells your glands, oh, we need to release some synovial fluid, right? To help lubricate that joint so that it can move better. So that's another way you can release synovial fluid is by moving, right? So hydrating so that your glands have what the building blocks of what it needs for the synovial fluid. And then move your joints. If you sit too long, if you're stagnant for too long, it tells your glands, oh, we don't need that lubrication. So you don't release as much synovial fluid. So the more you move, the more synovial fluid you'll release. The other way, and that's a way to keep your joints flexible and mobile. So you might notice that if you have arthritis or limitations in your hands, it's probably the last thing you want to do because it's so painful, but you'll notice it's almost like, kind of like the Tin Man. It starts small, but over time it does get your joints moving. So the more you move, the more you move. The other thing to keep in mind when you're wanting to keep your joints healthy is what keeps a joint mobile, what makes it able to move and keeps healthy movement in the joint is to strengthen the surrounding muscles. So for example, your knee, one of the most important sets of muscles to keep your knee strengthened or strong is the thigh muscles, the quadriceps. So you can do things like squats. In our classes, we do standing and sitting, right? Making sure that the muscles are engaged. You can, even if you have knee issues, you can press into the floor and release, and you're engaging the muscles around the knee to protect it. So any muscles surrounding the joints, strengthening those muscles keeps the joint healthier. So for the spine, that one's a little harder to figure out what muscles are surrounding the spine. It's the abs. So in the chair yoga classes that I offer, we do our boat pose every single class. Sometimes we do a soaring poses to work the abs, and that is not so we can have a six-pack abs and go on the beach. It's so that we can invest in healthy balance. It's so that we can invest in strong posture, because when we have nice aligned bones and structure, it cuts down on wear and tear, and it keeps us even emotionally available. But yeah, so the core is, when you keep the core strong, those are the muscles that are the counterpart to the spine. So if you have any spinal issues, do what you can to work your core. So one of the things I also offer in my class is a check-in, right? Sometimes if we have limitations or things going on in our bodies that we're really not in love with, right? We don't have our bodies from 20 years ago or whatever it was. We kind of nothing it, and we cut off ourselves energetically. So that is actually the worst thing you can do, because to keep the neurological functioning between your brain and your body is really important. And to bring attention to those areas of the body, offering them love and support is really a great thing to do, because it keeps the neurological intelligence, the communication between those pieces of your body and your brain alive and strong. So you don't have to think about when you need to engage a certain muscle or recruit something, avoiding a slip or fall. So let's just check in and bring some attention to our joints. So sit back in your chair, make sure it's a sturdy chair, no wheels. And if it feels okay, you can lift both feet, otherwise do one at a time. And then you're gonna just wiggle your toes. We're gonna check in with your pairs of joints. We'll check in with all of them just by moving them, sensing how they feel. If they're stiff, maybe you wanna give them a little more love, a little more movement. So wiggling, see if you can articulate each and every digit. Sometimes it's a challenge. Sometimes moving your hands, which are naturally more dexterous, can encourage the movement of your toes because they are connected. They are pairs. Then we're going to open and close the palms and the feet. And then rotating ankles and wrists. So one direction and then the other. This is something you can do while you're watching TV or at still points. Pointing and flexing the ankles and the wrists. Is a really good one if you use your hands a lot in tasks or hobbies. And then we'll do the elbows and knees, bending and straightening. So just checking in. How are they feeling? Did I dump tension into the joints? It's a good way to find out. Next set of pairs is shoulders and hips. So rolling through the shoulders, rolling through the hips might feel a little funny while you're sitting, but it's a way to just check in. Hips are one of the top places we hold tension, and we don't really move them through habitual movement throughout the day. So it's a really good thing to check in every once in a while. I'm losing my wire here. And then your spine might, see, I do it so much, my body's automatically doing it. Finding the sway in your spine, because all these beautiful vertebrae you have. And remember, the core supports the spine, so engage your abs as you find the sway in the spine. And then coming back to center. So dance breaks are great. As you're dancing, check in with a joint, move a different body part, and find some circles in your joints in whatever way feels good. This is something I do sometimes when I'm cooking. I put on some fun music and I dance my way through, or the dishwasher. Oh, I don't want to empty the dishwasher again, right? Turn on a song and just check in with your joints, move them, circle them, articulate them. So it doesn't have to be a sit and check focus. It can be a fun movement, but just make sure you're moving in a healthy way. I'm going to offer you 2 exercises to help unstick 2 parts of the body that either hold a lot of tension or don't get articulated often through natural daily activities. First one we're going to focus on, I mentioned the hips, we're going to do that one standing, so stay tuned for that. But we're going to work on the thoracic spine. So there's 3 main parts of your back, the lumbar or the low back, the thoracic spine or the middle, and then the cervical, which is the neck into the skull. So the neck just naturally moves a lot, right? Or has availability, has a lot of different ways it can move. The low back moves in lots of different ways through walking, through other ways of dancing and articulating through natural movement. The thoracic spine doesn't really get a lot of play though. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into seated temple. So knees out, toes out, heels in. And we're going to press down and just feel tall, like you're sitting in your own temple. That's what they say. This body, this temple is a sacred place. You are sacred. And then we're going to extend the arms shoulder height as if we're coming into seated warrior 2. There's other ways of doing the foundation, but this is one way too. And you're going to just keep the legs stable, pressing into the floor. We're working on the knee joints by strengthening the muscles there while we're doing this. And then you're going to look, slide the chin in, and then look to the left. And keeping, again, the feet glued to the floor, you're going to just slide like you want to touch opposite walls. Keep your gaze to the left, though, and slide to the left and slide to the right. So allowing the arm to move the spine, right? So this is where we're articulating from, where the arm connects to the rib cage. So sliding side to side. So you're really finding this movement your spine does that maybe you don't do often, unless you're having some good dance breaks. And then coming back to center, once you feel that, lower the hands. And then you're going to see if you can articulate the spine side to side. Now, if you have osteoporosis or anything like that, you want to be mindful of this kind of movement. Ask your doctor before you try something like this. But if it feels okay, and you know it's okay, you're going to slide side to side. So that's the thoracic spine. We kind of know where it is now. Little body geography awareness. Coming back to center, we're going to move that part of the body now forward. hugging the shoulder blades, and then round the spine, pull the heart back, almost like you're leaning the back of your heart to the wall behind you. And then inhale, slide the heart forward. Make sure you keep the neck relaxed when you're doing this. It's all in the thoracic spine. So it's almost like we're plotting the sides of a clock, right? Forwards and backwards. And then come back to center, and now let's smooth out the corners of the clock. So we're going to reach the heart forward, shoulder blades hug, and then slide the thoracic spine to the left and swing it back and around to the back, and then swing it around to the right. Again, keep the neck relaxed. Swing it forward and side and back and side and forward, side, back, and side. Come forward, now reverse. Right, back, and left. Come forward, left, right, back, left, and forward. So this is a really good massage for your spine. Oftentimes in class we do our cat-cows, right? Our extension flexion, our lateral stretches, and our twisting. But the spiral, the circling of the thoracic spine is a really great way to keep your spine flexible, the joints of your spine nice and lubricated. So, and again, move your whole joints, and you can check out, if you're interested, going onto my Patreon site. In those full classes, I did a full class on juicy joints where we touch on all the joints. But this is just a little taste for you to enjoy and to articulate your spine. So now we're going to come to stand, if that's available. We're going to come to stand, and then we're going to come to the back of the chair. So we want to move the chair so that the back of the chair faces us as a support if you need it. You can also use the wall as a support. But hand to hip. If it feels okay, both hands can be on your hip. We really want to float this pelvic bone. So take your feet just a little wider than hips with distance. And I chose this other joint to assist you with today because this is someplace we hold a lot of emotion. It's so they get stiff. It's not an articulation movement that we do in our regular daily activities. A lot of what we do is linear, right? Sitting and standing and stuff like that. So let's juice up our hip sockets. So toes out, heels in, soften your knees. Keep the pelvis nice and buoyant, and just make sure you're not sticking out the derriere. Sometimes I see this. Imagine you're sliding down a wall and the tailbone is sinking into the floor like there's a weight on the tailbone. And then from that place, you're going to roll the pelvic bowl. And let's find the clock again. So tick to 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Pelvis goes forward and goes back. I wish I had a lighter shirt for you to see this. Back as a guide, but you can feel it. And back. Now come back to center. Again, keep the knees nice and buoyant, and you're going to slide 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then come back to center. Now let's find the corners of the clock. So swing it around to 12, all the way around to 3, 6, 9, 12. Do it a couple of times around. Again, keep the knees soft. Don't be rigid. Let everything float and be circular. Next time you come to 12 o'clock, reverse the circle all the way around the clock and come back to center, and then gather your feet together. So again, we checked in with all of our pairs. You know all of your joints, so have a dance break, move in whatever way feels good. Move all of your joints, check in with them, celebrate them, and juice them up. So I hope you found this helpful. I hope you have a really good dance break in your kitchen later. Hope to see you in class sometime. And here's to your juicy joints.